Vitaly friends, I Vitaly Portnikov Italic de Nostana tells about the forehead of strategic slabosti Russia. Goes through the shade of the us intelligence spiritualist. And Pete is still the President of the United States, Donald Trump, knowing about the us intelligence officers. And I will use my tactics on him even before Russian President Putin. You have such a strategic weakness for the stamp, calling the problems from further away mobilization to the Russian army. Putin joins the Neyman secret army, the largest since the beginning of Russian history. However, the sprats of reservists with a skin month. Yak and those payments, maybe today the Russian regions up to the date, up to the amount to the contract. I am for the Russian army to those who adore Ukrainians for pennies and the dead of the Russian economy. And this is strategically Russia's weakness. With the skin new month of guilt, the economy of the Russian Federation was given, and on the Doha side of Ukraine. A global pub is not changing the situation. With such a rank with a skin new month of guilt, Russia cannot recruit sprats from the temple services to get new temple sprats. Putin will be afraid of mass free mobilizations, and the economy will continue to die and fall into stagnation. Despite the optimistic reports of Putin's associates and propagandists on American TV channels. And moreover, the Russian army cannot be seriously on the battlefield in Ukraine. The pace and the seeming do not look like this yet. And about the occupation of the night are frequent on Ukrainian territory, at the sales of the offensive months and rocky. And on the tilka of President Trump, so is President Putin. We rent. Putin also has a fierce 2020 friend's hand, having set his Vyskov, and the task to go to the administrative cordons of the Donetsk and Luhansk regions of Ukraine. Often the territory was occupied by the Russians. Overgrown with yellow 2025th lesson, but about the occupation of the entire Donetsk region and the move made. And one of the greatest real buts of the fact that the whole blame was revealed for Russia. And for the army, and for the economy, and for the population, for its frequent. I decided to earn bloody groves on so alone a strategic weakness of Russia for the stamp, calling the painting of the viscotechnical steel of the Ukrainian dropped forces. And I'm still extremely overgrown with the Ukrainian army from the party reset. And so Bilsh actively opposes the Ukrainian whiskey fishing complex, the Russian whiskey, and infrastructure facilities for Ukrainian rocket technology to ruin the situation out of the wine for Putin. Putin has four strategic weaknesses to win the blame. The type of behavior for testing, obviously, the Russian president does not have such real ones. On the success of and on the Ukrainian state. It is also overestimated, the head political and Putin strands to be seen in the Russian Empire. About the cordons of the Radian Union of 1990 Peru. However, with the sudden new doom of Russian-Ukrainian guilt, Putin's MRI begin to give up on the looming ally of the Russian dictator. Then another torture. Russia will not cut out four of its problems on Ukrainian soil. With what rank it gathers the interests of all the Kalishny Radian republics, the yaks joke about new sponsors. And find them before the speech. Who is in the West in the European Union, yak the Republic of Moldova. Who has Turakina, Yak Azerbaijan, who has France from the received Yak states in Armenia, who has the People's Republic of China. Yak Ukraine of Central Asia. Russia is the uncontested patron of those Ukrainians. I am water-soaked, and in my zone I will swim beyond the Rakunak of the alignment of the friendship spiv. On the fallow powers in 1990 Persh, and the economical political whiskey in neighboring Ukraine. After it became obvious that I would not be a Russian protopower, but turned off as a tool for separating the pegged Radian republics from the greedy metropolis. With such a rank, Trump can go to another intensive economic lawsuit against Putin. The Russian president has problems. I have emerged from him, from his regime and from his power as a legacy to the cob of guilt from Ukraine. To that Trump and Propanova to Putin, you are more honest in firing. The Russian president is also notified of the need for a pause in the temple ideas for his power, for his regime, and for the economy of the Russian Federation. However, I am not a diligent exhibition. In the Russian president, and before you go, you still pay a lot of compliments to the address of an American colleague. And so the European Ukrainians will be able to lay their bodies on the Ukrainian infrastructure until now. And they will put a crab on the basis of the Ukrainian power, and as a result, they will be the political hegemon of Europe. It is obvious that the Russian president is not ready for torture. I submitted for strategic weaknesses. Blame him, not for the collapse of the Ukrainian state, but for serious problems and his collapse of the Russian one. Under Nain, the Putin regime on Ochakaya the reputation of a power with a Datny bottle of a head count on the Russian expanse. And the Russian Hromadians with skin guilt are tightening the posky more and more, squeezed out of difficult economical minds. Well, we mumble the most important legacy of guilt for the Russians of the remaining tis. The wine comes to their house to the Vibu on strategic objects, the view of Moscow is felt to the very end. By the resonant Hromadiany of the Russian Federation. And the whole situation is due to Russia's strategic and weakness. Tilky and with Putin's skin guilt. Russian chauvinism. Inflate on the topic of the channel, subscribe to it, subscribe to my social channels in Patreon, and donate. This helps to develop these resources for the sponsorship function of YouTube itself.